What if I told you that one of the richest empires on earth once rose from West Africa, so wealthy that its king crashed the economy of another country just by visiting? And what if I told you that the modern nation of Ghana carries the name and legacy of that power, not by accident, but by vision? This is not just a story about gold. It is a story about kings, trade routes, resistance, slavery, revolution, and rebirth. Stay with me, because the history of Ghana is deeper than most textbooks ever told you. The earliest was the Ghana Empire, also known as Ouagadougou. It did not sit where modern Ghana is today. It was located farther northwest, in parts of present-day Mauritania and Mali. But its influence shaped the entire region. Between the 8th and 13th centuries, this empire controlled the trans-Saharan gold trade. Gold flowed north to North Africa and Europe. Salt came south across the desert. Camels crossed endless sand carrying wealth that made Ghana legendary. Arab writers describe the king as sitting in a court filled with gold ornaments, guarded by trained dogs wearing golden collars. Gold was so abundant that the king controlled every nugget. Common people could only trade gold dust. That single rule kept the empire powerful. But empires rise and fall. By the 1200s, the Ghana Empire weakened and was eventually absorbed by the Mali Empire, the empire of the famous Mansa Musa, whose wealth stunned the world. Still, the name Ghana would live on. Forest kingdoms and the rise of the Akan, 3 o'clock to 5:30, while Sahel empires dominated the north, powerful forest kingdoms were growing farther south. Among them were the Akan states, including Denkyira, Akwamu, and later the mighty Ashanti Empire. The Ashanti built one of the most organized and militarily strong empires in West Africa during the 17th and 18th centuries. At the center of their power was the golden stool. Not just a throne, but a sacred symbol believed to hold the soul of the Ashanti nation. Their capital, Kumasi, became a political and economic powerhouse. They traded gold, kola nuts, and unfortunately, captives during the era of Atlantic slavery. But here is something important. Ghana was not a passive land waiting to be discovered. It was structured, political, and strategic long before European colonization. In 1471, Portuguese sailors arrived on the Gold Coast. They were not searching for land. They were searching for gold. They built the famous Elmina Castle in 1482. It became one of the first major European trading posts in sub-Saharan Africa. Over time, the Dutch, British, and others followed. Gold was the first attraction. Then came something darker, the transatlantic slave trade. The Gold Coast became one of the main departure points for enslaved Africans sent to the Americas. Yet even during this brutal era, African states negotiated, resisted, fought wars, and defended their sovereignty. The Ashanti fought multiple wars against the British. They were not easily conquered. By the late 19th century, Britain had gained control over the Gold Coast after a series of Anglo-Ashanti wars. But resistance never stopped. In 1900, a woman named Yera Santawa led a war against the British to defend the Golden Stool. Her rebellion became one of the most powerful symbols of African resistance. Colonial rule reshaped the economy, education, and politics. Cocoa farming expanded. Western education spread. A new educated elite began to question British authority. The stage was set for something bigger. On March 6, 1957, the Gold Coast became the first sub-Saharan African colony to gain independence. The new name chosen was Ghana, honoring the ancient empire that symbolized African greatness. Leading this historic moment was Kwame Nkrumah. He declared, "The independence of Ghana is meaningless unless it is linked up with the total liberation of Africa." And Ghana became a beacon. Its independence inspired liberation movements across the continent. So when you hear the name Ghana, do not think of just a country on the map. Think of desert caravans crossing the Sahara. Think of golden stools and warrior queens. Think of castles that witnessed both trade and tragedy. Think of a nation that stood up first and said, "Africa will be free." That is Ghana. If this story opened your eyes even a little, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment what African country you want next.